You're listening to Hawk Talk with former Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Play fake, going to roll right, dumps it off into the right flat to Michael Bumpus, who bounces off of one tackler, gets inside the 40, down to the 35-yard line.
Powered by Seahawks.com.
Matt pump fakes, looking to the goal line. He throws it into the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks! It's Michael Bumpus with a diving catch in the end zone. A 10-yard touchdown reception for Bumpus, and the kid out of Washington State has found himself a place on this team.
Now, here's your host, Nasser Kyobe.
Welcome into another edition of Hawk Talk. The Seahawks unfortunately fall in heartbreaking fashion at Lumen Field of the Minnesota Vikings, 27-24. We are broadcasting live from the Seahawks podcast studio, presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. Bump. My heart hurts, man.
Yeah,
I'm in pain still.
Yeah, it was close, man. It went down to the wire to a team that was 12-2. A team that is a all-around good football team. They can run the rock. Not the greatest at running, but they can run it. They can throw it. Defense has its spots where they play well. It showed up on Sunday. You were in the fight, and the worst part is that it felt like you did it to yourself for the most part.
Yeah.
But that's how you grow. That's how you learn.
It's the National Football League. All these teams can play. It just stinks because you're like, no, we're there.
Mm-hmm.
We're right there. It's just not quite getting over the finish line. But it is what it is. We're going to spend some time, obviously, talking about the Chicago Bears that are coming up super quick. It's a short week. Seahawks playing on Thursday. So we're going to do a little combo, a little reaction, and then a little preview of the Bears. But before we get to the Bears, we got to break down exactly what had happened.
See, what had happened was
On Hawk Talk.
You mentioned a bump. Seahawks been toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the NFC, came up short. And it didn't start great. For the third week in a row, there's been a little issues defensively where the Seahawks have allowed a touchdown on the game's first possession. Vikings went 12 plays, 70 yards, which ended with a 5-yard touchdown pass from Sam Darnold to Jordan Addison. That made the score 7-0. Both teams would punt on the next two drives before the offense got things going.
Yeah, it was. You saw that first drive, and you're like, come on now. Not again. Not 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
But things started to happen, right? Like you mentioned. Couple punts, teams start to bounce back. Our team starts to bounce back. And Geno Smith, he then leads a 7-play, 87-yard drive, which ended in a 25-yard touchdown to DK. We needed to see that. Good ball placement. DK going up and get it, and that tied the game at 7. After two more punts, the Vikings will find the end zone again when Sam Darnold connected with Justin Jefferson on a 14-yard touchdown that made the score 14-7. That one was rough, man. You had Trey Brown that kind of lined up offsides. He said he checked with the referee, too, which blows my mind. If he checks with the ref, then naturally he's going to back up. Then the next play, they go right back at him, and the best receiver, arguably the best receiver in the game, looks like he is.
No, it's a tough one, and technically the officials don't have to tell you whether you're on or off. I feel like it's the same way from going to high school, middle school, to college. But usually they'll at least give you a nod. If you're clearly, it's kind of like, but that's a tough one because, Paul brought up a great point because in that case, if he's offsides, was the receiver actually on the line of scrimmage?
Exactly.
It's all subjective because, it's hard. Either way, the Seahawks had a sack on the board. You're getting a stop. That's 4-point swing right there. Fortunately, doesn't go your way. Justin Jefferson gets in the end zone. And then to make matters worse, on the very next offensive play, Geno Smith was intercepted deep in Seahawks territory. Defense bounced back, though, held strong, held the Vikings to a field goal. That made the score 17-7. And then after two more punts, the Seahawks would march down the field in 1 minute, 5 seconds, 88 yards, an amazing drive, finishing with an 18-yard touchdown to Jackson Smith-Njigba. That made the score 17-14, heading to the locker room. JSN continuing to do what he does, and that's ball out.
I love that drive, man. JSN had 3 receptions. DK had 2. And for the most part this year, the Seahawks operate the best in those situations, right? 2 minute. Line it up, let's get it. So like you said, 17-14 going in the half, and we're actually feeling pretty good. It could have been a lot worse than that situation. The Seahawks, they kick a field goal of their first possession of the second half, tying the game at 17. The Vikings would answer with a field goal of their own after an 8-play, 10-yard drive, making the score 20-17. After 4 straight punts, the Seahawks would put together another really impressive drive. They go on 11 plays, 68 yards, ending with a Geno Smith touchdown to A.J. Barner in the back of the end zone, which was a heck of a grab. And the design of the play was good, too. JSN crossing the face of the safety, and you have A.J. Barner getting vertical, playing the back line of the end zone. Safety goes with Jackson Smith-Njigba, boom, AJ up top. Great touchdown. It looked like almost like Tyree. Was that Tyree in the Super Bowl with the Giants? Like he kind of pinned it up here, went down with it. Nice to see 88 make a play.
No, great play, and that was a fastball too. That was a tough catch. That was a lot harder than it looked on TV. I mean, there's some degree of difficulty there, and Geno had to put it in a tight window, so he threw his fastball. So love to see that. Seahawks take the lead. At that moment, you're feeling really good. They're up 24-20. Their first lead of the game, 4 minutes left in the ball game. You're thinking, okay, the defense is starting to play well. They just need to stop. Unfortunately, 4 plays later, the Vikings were in the end zone again after a 39-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson. That made the score 27-24 Minnesota. And again, the Seahawks just got bit with 2 untimely penalties. This time, Byron Murphy. And this one really hurts too because, again, it wasn't the reason there was a sack. It just happened on the play. Byron beats his guy, makes a big-time play, gets a sack. Unfortunately, face masks on Sam Darnold. Huge play. Next play, touchdown, Justin Jefferson. And, Bump, this is where Mike McDonald spoke on his radio show this morning. This is probably the toughest play of the game. The Seahawks get the ball back. There's plenty of time to come down the field. 3:51 left in the game. They drive down to the Vikings' 37-yard line, and then Geno Smith is sacked. That puts him behind the sticks. Then 3rd and 16, you're in no man's land. They opt to go for a 60-yard field goal. Jason Myers missed that, and it was pretty unfortunate. And we were just talking off air before he got on here. You want to break down that play a little bit, what happened on the sack? Because Coach McDonald said that was even more so than the interceptions. That was the biggest play of the game.
Yeah, that sack was crazy, man. You got DK and I believe Noah Fant or somebody was 2-by-2 formation. And what the Vikings do early in downs 1 and 2, they love to send that pressure. So I know a lot of people were thinking, oh, Grub, why didn't you run the football there? I would have liked to run it, but I understand why he threw the football there. So if I'm looking at the defense, I'm Geno, the right side, man. They're bringing pressure. They're bringing 4 against 3. That means the running backs have to step up and help with the stunt. And the stunt was crazy, man. You got the outside back swooping all the way in. You have your 3 tech going outside, then you're bringing another backer. So DK has a 10-yard in, call it dig route. And if DK were to just stop and sit in space, he'd stay away from that safety over there. But instead, DK just keeps going. It's almost like he drifts a little bit. He's like, dang, am I getting the ball? Am I not getting the ball? Geno, during that time, he's looking to his left side. Nothing's there. He gets back to the right side with time to get the ball to DK, but then the pressure just gets to him. He's got to tuck it. It's a sack. I understand people's frustration with it, but if you know the Vikings, their tendencies, you might call it the play that Grubb just called, saying we're going to attack the part of the field I think they're going to bring pressure from. It was there. You just didn't have time. You even had the protection. You just couldn't hold up long enough to let the football go.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because you were in field goal range. It was right on the list. It's not like Myers missed by 7 yards. It was right there if you don't lose that 7 yards on that play. But it didn't end the game, though, because after that, the Seahawks defense comes up big one more time, gets a stop. But on that final drive, false start to start it. And then Geno's intercepted after some miscommunication with him, DK Metcalf. You alluded to that as well on your show today, that it's just a tough situation. A lot went on. There's another good stunt by this Vikings defense. Pressure right away. Geno has to let go of the ball before DK's in and out of his break. And then, unfortunately, he's intercepted, and that was all she wrote for the Seahawks. Yeah,
tough way to end that game. But you had a chance. You had a chance to win. And end of the day, that's all you can ask for. The Seahawks outgained the Vikings 361-298, held the Vikings below their average when it comes to all-around yards. They had 2 turnovers, and the Vikings had none. The Seahawks were also penalized 11 times for 77 yards. They were so crucial, man. So it almost seemed like every time there was a penalty, there was a big play that followed after that. For the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, he had 144 yards on 10 receptions and 2 touchdowns. Sam Darnold, 22 of 35, 256, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Now they need to beat the Bears. Rams need to lose to the Cardinals. And then you square up on Week 18 and see if you can get her done, but need some help.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. It's the 3rd year in a row the Seahawks are going to need a little bit of help going into the last couple weeks of the season. It is what it is. They can only control what they can control. There's a couple crazy other scenarios. I don't even get into all of that because I don't even know them all. The playoff scenarios haven't officially come out. But the easiest thing for everyone is Cardinals beat the Rams. You beat the Bears and the Rams. You'll be in the playoffs. So that's what happened. But there was some people who made plays. Let's get to the Playmakers.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Playmakers.
Showdown, what time it is? Holy catfish!
We are broadcasting from the Seahawks Podcast Studio presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. Bump, and we will start with Geno Smith. 31 of 43, 314 yards. He did have 3 touchdowns. did have the other 2 interceptions. He did tie Russell Wilson for the most 300-yard passing games in a season in franchise history with 5. So there's obviously a little bit of bad, but there's so much good. Geno threw some dimes in there. The throw he had to JSN, he makes that catch to throw to A.J. Barner, keeping the Seahawks in the game. It's unfortunate the interceptions that happened, but they're right there at the end of the game. And Coach McDonald talks about it. He's just competing, doing everything he can to stay in this football game. That kind of shows you his character. It just sucks that he, couldn't pull it out. I was thinking he was going to have that Geno Smith magic at the end of games, all his game tying, game winning drives. Unfortunately, that wasn't in the cards, but Geno again still making a lot of plays out there.
He's having himself a good year. I mean, I know the interceptions stick out, and they should.
Right.
15, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, but still throwing for 3,900 yards right now, completing 70% of his passes. He's got 4 game-winning drives this year. I mean, goodness gracious, what else can this man do? But it's been a good season and a tough season at the same time for Geno. JSN is having his best season in his short 2-year career. 8 receptions, 95 yards, and 1 touchdown. This is the 8th game in a row JSN has led the Seahawks in receiving. JSN also became the 10th player in franchise history to record a 1,000-yard season. There was a time during this year where people were questioning whether he was worth the 20th pick.
Sounds pretty funny now.
I mean, you sound silly at this point because JSN is the number 1 option. He's a go-to guy. He's been reliable. I'm happy to see him ball. I was happy to see this guy get some love too. DK Metcalf, I know only 3 receptions, but 57 yards, 1 touchdown. The first touchdown since week 7 against Atlanta. That's crazy, but he made some history. DK passed Steve Largent for the most receiving touchdowns in a player's first 6 seasons in franchise history with 47.
Yeah, no, it's great to see DK part of this offense. We talked about it on the preview podcast. The Seahawks are at their best when DK Metcalf is making explosive plays down the field, and he's involved in this offense.
Yep.
You put that combination with Jackson Smith-Njigba, usually good things happen there. So big ups to DK on his game yesterday. And then defensively, I think this is kind of underrated. He probably didn't get a lot of attention for how he played yesterday, but Jaron Reed, 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 TFL, 2 quarterback hits, 1 passes defended. He also got to do his tribute to Michael Bennett.
I like that.
After the sack dance. So I love what Jay Reed's doing. He's a veteran. Setting a good example for the young guys, so it's good to see him kind of ball out.
Yeah. This guy needed a day. Reek Woolen, 2 tackles, 3 passes defended. People are pointing to that touchdown that was given up, 39-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson. Wasn't necessarily Reek's fault. It was cover 2. He forced him inside, Justin Jefferson, like he's supposed to. Safety was just late over the top to help out. I think Reek had himself a decent game. Didn't start, so I liked his resilience. How he just bounced back and still made some plays. He had 2 tackles, 3 passes defended. So big ups to Reek too.
No, I like that. When things happen, he had a great attitude, got out there and made some plays. So again, another guy. The Seahawks are at their best when he's out in the field making plays, and love to see him doing that. But let's we've done it. We've talked about it. We've moved past it. The Vikings game.
Moving on.
In the past.
Yep.
What's on tap?
What's on tap?
Chicago Bears 4-11, last place in the NFC North bump, and their season. Let me tell you, man, they're 4-11, but it didn't start out that bad.
They were kind of hot.
They were 4-2. They had wins over the Titans, Rams, Panthers, and Jaguars. The losses to Texans and Colts, and then things kind of went off a cliff. They've lost 9 games in a row. They fired their head coach, Matt Eberflus, after that Thanksgiving Day game and kind of the fiasco that happened at the end of the game with clock management. Thomas Brown is now the interim head coach, and he's had a ride. Started the year as a passing game coordinator, then takes over as offensive coordinator after he let Shane Waldron go, and now he's the acting head coach. So the Bears are...
It's the fastest climb in NFL history.
Yeah. Good for y'all. I guess enjoy it while you can. But he's hasn't been much better. He's been 0-3 since he took over. Last 3 games, the Bears have been outscored by a combined 102-42. So it's been rough, Bump.
It's been rough for these Bears. But you know they got talent, man. We're gonna talk about Caleb. He's not having a horrible season.
No, he's not.
He's ain't having the seasons and Jaden Daniels is having. That's all that is. But the Bears took on the Lions yesterday. The Bears fell to the Lions 34-17. It was all Lions from the start as they jumped out to a 20-0 lead in the first half. The Bears tried to keep things interesting, adding 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. But a Sam Laporta touchdown early in the fourth quarter put the game out of reach. And I love the play design. I heard it at first, and I heard people talking about it and describing it. But then I saw it. Jared Goff and Gibbs did a great job selling it. So what happens is Jared Goff pretends like he's stumbling, falling down. Gibbs falls down to the ground. You got Laporta starting on the right side of the formation, crossing all the way to the left, up the seam. The linebackers are frozen because they're looking at the backfield, and you go over the top, and they score an easy touchdown. It's the things the Lions do, it's almost like it's not supposed to happen. It's
Like, do
not
they have
supposed
more
to
time
work.
during the week to prepare for stuff? Like, every time I see some of this, like, where do you get the time, man? Damn.
Where do you get it? It's wild, but yeah, they pulled it off, and Jared Goff had a solid day, 23 of 32, 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Gibbs first game without Montgomery, right?
Yeah.
So Gibbs, he got the bulk of the carries, 109 for 1 touchdown. You got Williams, he led all receivers, 143 on 5 receptions, including an 82-yard touchdown. I just found out or just realized Randall L. is his wide receiver coach over there. So when I saw Antoine Randall L. getting hyped, that's like childhood for me. He might be like the first or second jersey I ever got was Antoine Randall L. It was cool to see him on the sideline. But the Lions, man, 475 yards of total offense. Caleb was 26 of 40 for the Bears, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but he led the team in rushing with 24 yards.
That's not great. That's not going to
good.
get it done. Antoine Randall, fantastic player. I do have bad memories of Antoine. I can see the play still. But anyway, it seems like stand-up dude, great ball coach. I loved him on the Thanksgiving Day game because I think it was Jameson Williams. He screwed up and he was letting him, and it was like a child talking to their kid. Like,
yep. Don't you say one more word.
You
say another word.
I was like, okay. Anyway, so no, they took care of business. We know what the Lions are. Lions are a good football team. The Bears are in a point right now where they're just in a downhill spiral. And they have good players, like I said, we're going to talk about. But it seems like last couple of weeks they get down big early, and it's kind of a wrap from then on. So we'll get into all those guys coming up here in a second. But these two teams have played, a decent amount of times over the years. Let's know the history.
Know your history.
Seahawks lead the all-time series 11-8, 11-6 in the regular season, 0-2 in the postseason, and the Bears have won the last 2 games. Now, the last one, this came in 2021. The Seahawks lost at Lumen Field 25-24, Week 16 of 2021 bump. And this game was tough for a lot of reasons. This is the year again, Russell Wilson broke his finger. The Seahawks playoff hopes were hanging by a thread. They were essentially out of it, but they weren't mathematically out of it at that point. They're also playing their second game in 5 days because for whatever reason, we moved the Rams game to a Tuesday to accommodate the Rams because they had some COVID issues.
Crazy.
Which messed us up because then we actually lost players. Sorry, I don't need to reopen that old wound. But anyway, so they were playing 2 games. And then there was a snowstorm. Do you remember that for a while ago for the pregame show that day? I thought it was just going to be me and you.
Yep.
Because there was,
dudes was stuck.
Goodness gracious. So it wasn't a great deal. And then on the field, the Seahawks blew a 17-7 lead. Nick Foles started that game for injured rookie Justin Fields. And he led them on a game-winning drive at the end of that game and hooked up with Jimmy Graham for that touchdown. And then they got the 2-point conversion, sealing that victory. Russell was 16-27, 181, 2 touchdowns. And then Rashad Penny, big day, 17 carries, 135, 1 touchdown. Gerald Everett leading all receivers. And Bobby record, set a franchise record in tackles. He had that broken by Jordan Brooks next year. Then he went back and tied it the following year after that. Again, 2021 doesn't seem that long ago, but every time we talk about it, all the guys we're talking about aren't on this ball club anymore.
You mentioned it during the pre-game show or post-game show on Sunday, how these are completely different rosters. That's how quick things change in the NFL. It's hard to create Super Bowl championship teams, but the turnover in the league is crazy. So if you make it to your second contract, anybody makes it to their second contract, big ups to them.
For sure. All right, let's look in the division. It was not a good week for Seahawks fans. Anybody will give you an update on the NFC West. What's the word?
Where my soldiers at? West side! Where my soldiers at? West side! And the Seahawks are the NFC West champs again.
What's the word in the West on Hawk Talk?
Unfortunately, the Rams won this past weekend. They beat the Jets. They're now 9-6. The Seahawks lose. They are 8-7. The Cardinals are 7-8, and the San Francisco 49ers, the bottom of the division, at 6-9. As we mentioned earlier, the Seahawks do not control their own destiny when it comes to making the playoffs. The Seahawks need to win on Thursday, and the Rams need to lose to the Cardinals on Saturday for the Seahawks to have a real shot at winning the division. Not a great weekend for the Seahawks and their fans.
No, it wasn't. We didn't get any help at all, and it's been brought to my attention that technically if the Seahawks and Rams both finish at 10-7, there might be still a chance for the Seahawks, but it's like 17 million tiebreakers, and it's dependent on common opponents, strength of victory, all kinds of stuff. So it's a lot easier if the Seahawks win and the Rams lose, and then it's just squad up for the division title.
Yep.
So we'll see. But leave it to Aaron Rodgers, Bump. Leave it to Aaron Rodgers to disappoint Seahawks fans everywhere. Gave you just enough hope to think they were going to pull off the upset, but it was not the case. Jets, they go down on their first possession, 14 plays, 99 yards. And with a touchdown to Devontae Adams, they would mix the extra point, which could have been foreshadowing. They'd go into the halftime with a 9-6 lead, but they would not score another point the rest of the game. Rams score 13 fourth-quarter points to win 19-9. Stafford was just 14 and 19 for 110 yards and a touchdown, 1 interception. Kyron Williams started the show, 122 yards on 23 carries, 1 touchdown. And then Puka Nacua, 56 yards on 8 receptions. Aaron Rodgers, 28 of 42, 256, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. And Devontae finished the day 7 receptions, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. The end of the day, Bump, go Cardinals, and that be the last time I say that.
That'd be the last time. Unless your child goes to Stanford and you say, go Cardinal. You might say that.
Or if we're in a weird strength of victory conversation and we need the Cardinals to beat the 49ers in Week 18.
Okay.
But then that'll be the only other time.
But that's crazy.
Don't make your head spin.
So many scenarios. All right, so then we have the 49ers at the Dolphins. The Dolphins kept their slim playoff hopes alive with a 29-17 victory over the 49ers. After losing in overtime in the Super Bowl last year, the Niners are officially eliminated from the playoffs. How quickly things change. The 49ers tried to keep it close, trailing 2 in the fourth, but the Dolphins will score the game's final 10 points for the victory. Brock Purdy was 26 of 40, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Devontae Achane was had 190 total yards and a touchdown. What are they going to do with Purdy? That's going to be an interesting offseason for the Niners.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's because it's more about how does Shanahan and them feel about Purdy. Now that you've gotten to see what it looks like when all the stars are on the line. You don't have a healthy McCaffrey. You don't have a healthy Ayuk. You don't have, Kittle's dealt with stuff. Debo's up and down. It'll be interesting. I mean, I think he's proven he can play.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if he gets that bag.
He gets paid because, Sam Darnold's floating around out there.
He was in San Francisco last year.
Exactly. He knows
the
offense.
system. Who knows? That'll be an off-season conversation. But let's flip our attention back to the Chicago Bears. Man up.
Hey, who you got?
Who you got? You know what time it is. Man up.
Man up, brother.
Man up.
Man up on Hawk Talk.
Caleb Williams, Bumpy alluded to it. He's having a pretty good season, all things considered. Obviously, they're 4-11. But obviously, if you're a college football fan, you know about Caleb Williams for his time in Oklahoma and then at USC where he won the Heisman Trophy playing for Lincoln Riley. Nuts year. Over 4,500 passing yards, 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, ran for 382 yards. Was that dude. Little dip in production that next year, but he still finished his 2 years in the SC with 72 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, first overall pick to the Chicago Bears. And honestly, Bump, do you remember all the conversation in the offseason that he was going to the best situation that a first overall pick has ever been to? And on paper, it looked that way because they have some dudes, and we're about to talk about all these guys. But it obviously didn't go that way. He's had multiple coaches, multiple play callers already in his rookie season, and he's played behind 21 different offensive line combinations this season, which is nuts, Bump. But hasn't been all bad. He has attempted 326 straight passes without an interception, the 6th longest single-season stretch in NFL history, registering the longest such mark by any player in Bears history and by any rookie passer in league history. With his 4th 300-yard game, Caleb is now tied with the most games above 300 passing yards in a single season in franchise history. I mean, he's done a lot this year already for a guy who's had to deal with all this kind of adversity. The talent's there. You can see it. And he's actually playing some decent football.
He's taking care of the rock, and he's got some weapons over there. He was thrusted into the best situation a rookie could be in with the players. There's people upstairs, people signing checks, people calling plays that influence what's going on there. That's what the Bears have to fix. They're not going to fix it this year. Obviously, 2 games left. But, no, he's going to be okay in this league. I'm not worried about Caleb at all.
No, I mean, look at his numbers. He's 314 of 505. 3,271 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. You talk about if you're taking care of the football, that's great. And he's doing this. He's been sacked 60 times this year.
Dude, it's him, Stroud, and Geno.
I saw it today. Geno's, I think, 49. Yeah, not the best number. But, again, to do what he's doing with what's going on, he's playing well. And for the Seahawks this week, you need to make him look like a rookie. He needs to be in a situation where he's sacked 4 or 5 different times, where he's in a position to put the ball up for grabs. And earlier last year and this year, Jared Goff had a crazy streak coming in and playing the Seahawks game.
4-15 or something like that.
Josh Allen hadn't been intercepted in a super long time.
Josh on Josh crime. Job got him.
Job got him. So I'm hoping we can channel some of that energy this week and the Seahawks can take care of business there.
I'm with you there. Make him look like a rookie. Toss the football up. Do something you haven't done in over 300 passes, which is throw an interception. Let's look at our quarterback, Geno Smith. He has played hard, and he played hard against the Vikings. He did a good job. He dropped a dime to A.J. Barner. You got JSN involved. You got DK involved. 300 yards passing. He's now tied for the most in franchise history in a season. 5 times doing that, tied with Russell Wilson. On the year, 3,937 yards, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 239 yards on 48 carries, and 2 touchdowns. When you look at him, opposed to all the other quarterbacks, he's 3rd in the league in passing yards, tied for 4th when it comes to completion percentage, 2nd in completions, 4th in attempts. Going up against the Bears, they're 26th in overall defense. They're 23rd against the pass. Might be set up for Geno to have himself another day. Maybe he owns the franchise record for passing yards or 300 passing yard games. If he does it this week, that'll give him 6. But he have to deal with Montez Sweat and Gervin Dexter Jr. Sweat, he's a former first-round pick to the Commanders in 2019. He's still playing some good football. 29 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 8 TFLs, 1 forced fumble, 2 passes defended, and Dexter Sr. leads the team with 5 sacks, 44 tackles, 1 pass defended. The Bears ranked 3rd in the NFL in opponent red zone touchdown percentage. It's the NFL. Every team's going to be good at something, right?
Yeah, no. They have the one nice thing about the Bears is for the first time in 2 weeks, we're not playing a team that is over the top good at taking the ball away.
Yeah.
The Bears, their interception numbers, I think their leader has 2 or 3, so it's not the Vikings and it's not the Packers, which is good. But yeah, Montez Sweat's a baller. He was Pro Bowler in 2023, so he can play. So the Seahawks will still have their work cut out for them on defense. And let's flip over to the running back, DeAndre Swift, taking on the Seahawks front 7. And DeAndre, he's been on 3 teams in 3 years, and normally that's not a good sign.
Right.
But the dude is playing good football. It's not because of lack of production. Swift is coming off a career year in 2023 with the Eagles where he rushed for 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. He was also voted to the Pro Bowl for the first time. He's totaled 5 rushing touchdowns in his 4th straight season with 3 rushing scores eclipsing 35 yards. That's the 3rd most in the NFL. Since week 4, Swift has totaled 1,085 scrimmage yards, top 10 among running backs, and he's 64 scrimmage yards away from a career high there. So he's playing good football, Bump. He's also a dual threat through the air. He's got 1,770 career receiving yards. That's 4th most by any player in that span on the year. 841 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he's also got 38 receptions, 358 yards. Seahawks had a good performance on the ground against the Vikings. Aaron Jones is a good football player. He didn't do much. He had 67 yards on 18 carries. Seahawks are 18th overall against the run, allowing 124 yards per game. So hopefully they can continue that trend and shut him down and not give Caleb Williams another part of his offense to kind of help him out.
What do you say? 24 yards rushing for Caleb last week. All right, lead the team again with about 25. I'll give you 25. I'll give you 25.
There you go. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, let's look at their receivers. They got a good trio, man. DJ Moore, Romaduze, Keenan Allen, all these guys can ball. DJ Moore is their leading receiver. He has 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns with his first season with the Bears. A sneaky 1,300.
Yeah, no.
It started off rough, though.
Well, in 2023.
Oh, 2023. Okay,
Right,
I was about
yeah,
to say. I read that wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, last year was his first year with the Bears. Boom. I was going to say, I remember this year there being like some problems with him getting the football. So
he's beefed up a little bit, but yeah, not that much.
All right, so 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns last year. Since joining the league in 2018, Moore has 7,391 receiving yards, and he's balling. He's competing with guys like Justin Jefferson. And they came in during the same year. And whenever you're being talked about with Justin Jefferson, you're doing something right. This year, 83 receptions, 826 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Then you got the OG, Keenan Allen, one of the best route runners in the game. Yeah. He's been in the league since 2013. Started back with the San Diego Chargers. Yeah. That's how old my man is. All right. He ranks 3rd in receptions among active players, 966, and 5th in receiving yards, 11,224. Allen also, he owns the most games with 12-plus catches and 100 yards receiving in NFL history with 12 of them things, while his 15 career games with at least 11 receptions and 100 yards is also an all-time record. Baller, 62 yards, 694, 7 touchdowns this year. He's so consistent. He's not a real fast receiver, but he's a route runner, and his hands are great. And then, of course, you got the young man, Rome Odunze. Big ups to you, Dub. His last year at UW, 92 receptions, 1,600 yards, and 13 touchdowns. He drafted 9th overall last year to, of course, the Chicago Bears.
Right.
With 104 receiving yards in Week 9, Rome Odunze secured the second 100-yard receiving outing of his career, tying for the 4th most by any Bears pass catcher in his rookie season. Rome, 51 receptions, 701, 3 touchdowns. There's a trio for you. You just saw one of the best duos in the game.
Without question, yeah.
Now this might be one of the best trios in the game. They have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, they can all play. They're all, I think, figuring, other than Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, obviously. Rome is kind of figuring it out in the league.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be really good. I got to watch them a little bit on Hard Knocks in the preseason. Obviously, the season hasn't gone the way they would hope for. But Rome is kind of coming along. He's having a solid season. And then with Keenan and just OGs like that, you just never know. They got all kinds of stuff. They'll route you up. So Seahawks DBs, again, are going to have their hands full. And, after what you faced last week, I feel like you should be ready for that challenge. So we'll see what happens there. And we'll finish here with JSN, DK Metcalf taking on this Bears secondary. We talked about Jackson. We've been talking about Jackson for the last 2 months because he's been balling out. Last game, 9 receptions, 95 yards, a touchdown. Leading the Seahawks in all receiver categories, receptions, yards, receiving touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. 5th in the NFL in receiving yards, 6th in receptions. He's that dude, and he's performing like it every week. Then you have DK Metcalf. Obviously, really good to see him get involved again last week. He had that big touchdown. And again, when he's in the game and he's making plays over the top, the Seahawks offense is at their best. And honestly, his production has been down since he hurt his knee. That was that Falcons game. And he still has 60 receptions, 897 yards, 4 touchdowns with 2 games to go.
Come on, get your 1,000, dog.
Need it.
Come on.
I would love for him to get it this on Thursday.
That'd be
you know
nice.
what I mean?
That'd be
Because I
nice.
feel like people are now looking at the 17-game season a certain type of way when it comes to all the records beforehand. So it's like anything you can do in 16 games kind of makes you feel like it's an extra little notch. You know what I mean?
They used to play 14 games back in the day.
Yeah, you know? And then it eventually go over there. But I think when people are, it's still somewhat fresh. It's only been a couple years. So I hope DK balls out. The Bears defense, 23rd against the pass game of 225 per game. I think this is a matchup where the Seahawks should have the advantage and should be able to go over the top. So hopefully the Seahawks can do that on Thursday. We are broadcasting live from the Seahawks podcast studio presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. In this NFL season, feel every play, every hit, every moment with the Sony 1000 XM5 noise-canceling headphones, the official headphones of the Seattle Seahawks. With premium noise cancellation, you are in the zone, no distractions, just pure football. Whether you're in your living room or on the go, you'll never miss a beat with Sony headphones. Bump. Gotta have it. Thursday night football.
Come on.
Path to victory.
At the 45, waits for the snap. Michael Dixon puts it down. That kick is away, and that kick is good! The Seahawks win! It's good!
It's a path to victory on Hawk Talk.
All right. We've said this before. We'll say it again. It's a must win. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a must-win game. The Seahawks, man, you got to handle this. You still have to handle business, and you need some help. So you have to get it done this Thursday. You got to beat the Bears, and the Rams have to lose. We've said this plenty of times on this podcast already. We will say it again. Must win. All right? Do your part, and then pray to the football gods.
Go get it. And for everyone else who is deep into the playoff scenarios, we're calling it a must win. But there are people telling me scenario, well, if the Rams lose both, and then you lose this one, but then you can still get them on straight. Make it simple.
Yeah.
Take care of business.
Yeah.
Cardinals, help your boy out, and we'll figure out what happens. But doesn't matter. None of that really is irrelevant unless you win on Thursday. So get that done. So control what you can control. And for me, Bump, that's defensively. Come out and jump on them right away. Let's not give up a long touchdown drive to start the game. It's happened 3 weeks in a row. I think they need to jump on the Bears early and get on top of them.
Take the ball away. Caleb's gone, 326 pass attempts without an interception. That's pretty good for the young man. We got to give him that Jared Goff treatment, like you mentioned, that Josh Allen treatment. All right, y'all, you haven't done that before? Okay, let's introduce you to it, remind you what it's all about. Keep everything in front of you. We talked about how dangerous their receivers are, one of the best trios in the game when it's all said and done. So just be efficient. Take the rock. Be sticky on the back end when it comes to coverage, and you got a chance.
Yeah, keep them in front of you, man. Keep them in front of you.
Deeper than the deepest.
Always keep them in front because they will get behind you. So definitely do that, and then take care of the ball, man. Obviously all these keys to the game. You can say that every single week, but you see how much it just kills you when you turn the football over, especially against a team like that where you have the upper hand. Take care of the ball, and let's run it, Bump. Please
Run the rock, baby. Come on now.
I know that Charbonnet was a little injured, and I'm hoping K9's okay. That was kind of a gruesome looking when he got tackled and twisted back. So hopefully he's back. Hopefully Charbonnet is also a little bit more healed up. But if they aren't, man, I kind of like what I saw from Kenny Mack.
Hey, Kenny Mack got a little burst to him.
Right. So
a little burst.
Let's get it done, Bump. Come on, man. He's got to find a way.
Extend the season.
Find a way. They've lost 9 in a row, Bump.
Let's
10. Make it 10.
Make it 10.
Need to make it 10. I mean, again, I just really hope we go into Week 18 still having a chance because this team has done too many good things this year, and we know how it goes. You just need to get in. Anybody's got a shot. Anyone can get it any given Sunday. We're hoping the Seahawks can get that done. Reminder, you can hear us everywhere. YouTube, Seahawks.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Sirius XM, and more. He's Michael Bumpus. I'm Nasser Kyobe. Hopefully we'll be talking to you next week about a Seahawks victory and how the Seahawks can win the NFC West title. Keep hope alive. Until next time, this has been Hawk Talk.